today it's Podcast Tuesday once again. Well, still on holidays. It's New Year's Eve, so this is the last podcast of the year, and I'm gonna end it by rating every every single podcast, every single format I've played, and well, my honest opinions on it. They're not ranked. It's just I just want to show the format and give my brief opinion on it. Let's start with our combo first, and we got. Alright, guys, we got Allurin, Shrieking Drake, and Chulan, Tenor of Tails. So this combo works by having Chulan on battlefield. And Allurin, by casting Shrieking Drake, you balance the Shrieking Drake with its only TP effect. Allurin allows you to basically cast the Shrieking Drake for free at instant speed, allowing you to do infinite casting. You can cast it infinitely. So you got Chulan who can growth spiral every time you cast a creature. And then Shrieking Drake enters, bounce itself, and then you just do it as you just that's it. That's the infinite combo. You just draw as many cards as you want. You ramp as well. So it's just very powerful. I mean, that's basically our combo. Now let's go for combo. And we got we got Underworld Breach and Past in Flames. So some storm decks in modern use both in the same deck. I mean, Past in Flames allows you to flash back your instants and sorceries up to a turn. Underworld Breach allows you to escape all your non-lands for the turn. But escaping will cost free cards as well. Uh, so, escape, in contrast to flashback, does not exile a card as the spell's cast, because you can also exile permanents. And you can also recast permanents. So if they die, they go back to the graveyard. Now, they just don't stay there. Now, Past in Flames, by casting them, they get exiled. But Underworld Breach, you have to exile cards as part of the cost to flashback the cards. So Past in Flames is so honestly having both the deck actually breaks the meaning of Underworld. You have to start exiling cards in your graveyard. So that's less stuff you can do with a Past in Flames. And Past in Flames, it just it wouldn't really work with Underworld Breach because Underworld Breach lets you keep the cards if you cast it into sorcery from the graveyard. It keeps it in the graveyard. We have to exile 3 hour stuff. So yeah, that's basically a non. Don't know why Storm players play these, but well, some just do. Let's go in to our first format. Here we got. Here's my honest opinion on Standard. So Standard as a whole was just this kind of format where so when I started playing Magic, it was by the end of Battle for Zendikar. It was Battle for Zendikar over the Gateway, so right at the beginning of 2016. Like, and my honest opinion is that I just don't really feel it. I mean, it's basically the the thing is you have to use the new cards and see what decks you can build. Like it allows more thematic builds. But as a whole, it's still not much of a format. And the format has gotten its upgrades over the years, but I kind of just don't use it. I mean, they added some cool cards. I mean, they they changed the rotations twice. I mean, in the past there was one set in, one set out, and then they made it so it was like every year 4 sets rotate out. And 4 sets, get injured. So it was like 2 blocks at the time. It was like, one block was like 2 sets. So yeah, so I was joining it like right through the Zendikar block. Then we got the Valkyrie Zendikar block. Then we got the Shadows of Registrar block. Then the Kaladesh block, Alenka block, Ixalan block. And then that's when they started shaking things up, like when it was the 25th anniversary for Magic the Gathering. And well, and then last year they canceled rotations just so they can add like 1 extra year of worth of sets. And if we go to Pokemon TCG, they also have they had like 3 years of standard, like the whole of standard was like 3 years. So we had we had a bit of like the previous generation, and then so when I joined Pokemon TCG, it was the end of XY. So I joined right before Evolutions came out, and it was like the 20th anniversary of Pokemon in general. So I was so yeah, it was so they had they rotated 4 sets every year, just like Magic the Gathering did. I mean, no, just like Magic the Gathering does now. Before, it was like I was confused on how the Pokemon TCG rotations work, because when I joined the game, there was those 2016 World Championship decks, and some of those decks had beginning of XY cards, like the first 4 sets of XY were in this, and those weren't standard legal at the time I was playing, and I was confused. And then I realized that, wow, they must be rotating 4 sets at a time, while Magic the Gathering rotates 1 set at a time. And guess what? I don't remember when this happened, but they literally changed their rule so that the rotations are, oh, well, it was 2017 when the Valkyrie Zendikar block and Shadows already struck rotated out, if I remember correctly. And yeah, well, I mean, and Magic the Gathering standard was like 2 years worth of sets, whilst Pokemon standard was 3 years worth of sets. So Magic the Gathering, there was a moment they modified and they skipped, the last year's rotations. So we could have 3 years worth of standard sets. And well, Pokemon, they also rotated around the same time as Magic the Gathering, but Magic the Gathering now rotates like earlier, and Pokemon rotates like later. So they actually delayed one rotations to like there's one they delayed it to January, and they could rotate out more sets. So instead of having new generations, everything was. But yeah, anyways, standard. I've never really felt the format. I just feel like, I mean, now Foundations, they kind of upgraded the format, with a bunch of new cards that will stick around for twice as long. But eventually, people are gonna grow tired of these cards before they rotate out. And let's go to our number. Let's go to our next format. Pioneer. Pioneer had so much potential. So when the format first dropped, which was right before COVID, Pioneer was going to be what bridged standard and modern. So eventually, there was this point where standard cards rotating out would become useless. We had Kaladesh, Amonkhet, and others similar sets that were becoming obsolete because of standard rotations. And to bridge this gap between standard and modern, they made Pioneer, where Pioneer would have cards from all the way back of Return to Ravnica. And that was actually cool. I mean, I started playing like in over the Gatewatch. So I had a bunch of cool cards from over the Gatewatch, tons of Target here. And yeah, it was, some cards are banned in other forms, like Treasure Cruise, uh, Yorion, and other stuff were legal in this format. I mean, and they eventually, of course, kept on upgrading the format by adding some powerful uh, favorites, like Liliana the Veil and other stuff. But well, they had to ban they had to ban fetch lands from Pioneer. Like so, Pioneer as a format is slightly slower, than than the other formats. And Modern, Legacy, because you cannot like fetch shock. You can shock, you can play a bolt land or something, but you cannot fetch. And this format underwent a lot of bannings and unbannings. And this was because they were still testing the format. And on MTG Arena, they were making, they made Explorer, which was adding cards into the game that were Pioneer legal until eventually Explorer becomes Pioneer, which is like, but then but that was not the same as Pioneer. I mean, Pioneer is is actually not bad for. I mean, there are sometimes where the format just kind of sucked, and now it's just better than ever. I mean, I just found a really good deck, and I've been liking it a lot. I remember back when I was in my prime, which was early 2020, right before COVID, I actually made it to day two on Pioneer. I played Dredgeless Dredge, and that was like my favorite tournament that ever. That like the my favorite Magic Fest was that one because I made it to day two, and it was very fun. I mean, even though I didn't win anything in the end, I still managed to go that extra mile and actually make it to the second day, which I've never done before, and I've never done it again. So honestly, Pioneer is actually quite a good format. I mean, overall, um, it's just good, much better than standard. Let's go into a number next one. Another format with wasted potential, Oathbreaker. Now, Oathbreaker was never an official format to begin with, but it was just fun. It combined like some elements of Brawl, which is like 60 card deck, which that's not even like Brawl anymore. Brawl actually uses 100 card decks on MTG Arena. You can either play 60 cards or 100 cards, and they're still and they but you cannot use like Yorion or anything. You're going for the 100 cards, and it was cool because it was a bit slower than regular Commander, so you did have like soul rings or any other stuff. Like it was a bit like more competitive because you had to pick a planeswalker and a spell for the planeswalker to use, like an instant or sorcery spell, and that was fun. Like I played Dak Fade back then with with a rolling. Well, I changed the spell actually. I was trying my idea of rolling thunder, and my intention was to basically hold Dak Faden and then use rolling thunder to start stealing the opponent's creature by dealing one damage to them. And I changed it. I actually changed it to that one spell that turns a permanent into an artifact and draws me a card, which will allow me to -2 Dak Faden to take that permanent, like to take any permanent. And it was actually a fun format. I mean, the format kind of died down like after like before COVID, but like after like COVID happened and stuff, people just forgot about the format. I mean, I have no idea why it happened or like, but it just it just vanished. I mean, it's like if they made it an official format and Magic the Gathering would have invested in it, maybe we could have had Oathbreaker as an actual playable format. Maybe like MTG on online could have used it. So honestly, Oathbreaker, very fun format, but wasted potential. That's fun. We have Modern. Modern, hands down, the best competitive format, in my opinion. Allowing cards all the way from 8th edition and Magic the Gathering making supplementary modern sets. Like we got free Modern Horizons and Lord of the Rings set, basically allowing 4 sets of modern cards like that shake up the format or actually playable. I mean, well, let's be honest. Lord of the Rings only had 2 playable cards, apart from the land cyclers, and those were Forces Masters and the One Ring. But if we're talking about Modern Horizons in general, this form is like these sets just provided some of the most powerful cards and then some cards eventually just get banned. So we had Hogak, we had Nanu, and we had incarnations that were getting banned, and they were just very strong. They shake up the format because back before Modern Horizons was a thing, the only the only 0 mana counter spells that existed in the format were Passive Negation and Disrupting Shock. And well, Commandeer, but Commandeer basically steals a spell, and it only works on non-creatures. But basically, it's that it's that Disrupting Show was the only one that actually was like an actual counter spell but you had to like exile because Passive Negation, despite not having any alternative cost, you don't have to spend any mana or cards whatsoever. Like you just cast it, and then on your upkeep, you have to pay the 5 mana, which doesn't allow you to counter spells on turn 1, which was what you can now do with Modern Horizons cards. Because Disrupting Show was just like a one-off, and if you and you had to cast, you have to counter like with Disrupting Show, you had to exile a blue card that had the same mana as the spell you want to counter. And if not, you have to spend the same mana you want to spend plus 2. And that was like very annoying. I mean, only Tar Belcher plays it nowadays. But in the past, that was unplayable. Like, they made Force of Negation, Subtlety, and the new counter spell, the new blue one, the one where you have to sacrifice an non-token creature. And they just spice up the game. You have to be careful knowing that even if the opponent is tapped out, they could still counter your spells. I mean, it's fun. It incites you, to actually. So the play style of Modern has like changed a lot as I was playing it, and now it's one of my favorite formats. I mean, I started with Burn, then I found out Burn was not fast enough like 2 years ago, and so I switched to Primeval Titan. And Primeval Titan, I've been crushing the opponents on turn 2, turn 3, before they can even react. I mean, sometimes I end up winning game 1 without knowing what the opponent's playing, so I don't sideboard. But it's just this feeling. It's just that's why Modern is my favorite competitive format. Let's go into our next format, and we have Legacy. Legacy. Gotta tell you this. Legacy has been like, I never really got myself into Legacy because on on paper it just costs too much money. So so I've only been able to play the lower range of Legacy, which is you know no, not Dredge, Dredge and Mono Red, as these two are basically the cheapest Legacy decks. And the thing is, Dredge actually was like an expensive deck. I mean, it's just if you don't play the Lion's Eye Diamonds, then the deck was much cheaper, but heavily nerfed as it was much slower, not allowing you to discard your hand or get the extra mana. But Legacy, I mean, when I've been playing it on MTGO, I just I get a wider range of decks I can play because money's not an issue on MTGO. It's just the decks are tend to be cheaper, and since the decks are like much cheaper because the lands aren't too expensive because there's no reserve list on MTGO. It's just like then I'm able to actually play like for example, lands is the most expensive legacy deck on paper, but on MTGO is one of the cheapest because lands are cheap on MTGO, and and even then I was able to play Cephalid Breakfast, which was such a powerful deck. It reminds me of playing Nadu. Like Nadu, it's just I mean it can't be banned on modern, but on Legacy it's still alive and it's still like powerful, powerful card. I mean it's that's what I like. I mean Legacy, you just can play anything. I mean you even see crossover cards on Legacy that somehow were just powerful enough because they were meant for Commander. For example, we got like I remember seeing Chun Li in a Legacy turn in paper. And on MTGO, I see players playing Warhammer cards, or even like Commander cards as well. Like, or I even yeah, it was just it's just fun. I mean, Legacy, it's a fun format. Although on paper, I just don't like how it's hard how it's too hard to play on paper. Let's go into our next one, and it is Pauper. Pauper again, a very good format. Started out as an MTGO exclusive, in case you didn't know, but it still had its large community of players who were playing it in paper on sanctioned events and were just having fun. I mean, this format was very good. I mean, it it forces the players to because they have like there's no limit to what you can play. It has to be have been printed as a common in either MTGO or paper. And in the past, it was only MTGO until they introduced the format on paper, which was when we had cards like Oubliette being playable on Pauper, because these were printed as commons, but not MTGO. I mean, on MTGO they were like uncommons and other stuff. So yeah, with a wider range of cards you can play in Pauper, and then they just and master sets would reprint powerful uncommons as literal commons. So then they become Pauper legal because even master sets counted as because like Modern Horizons that counts because Modern Horizons because Pauper is just legacy but with commons, and that's what I like about the format. It literally lets you play around with some powerful commons that you just didn't know they were commons and they were end up being uncommons in the future, or even like we even had some cards that were downgraded from uncommon to common and doesn't playable in Pauper. And that was cool. I mean, I've been playing Pauper. I played Grids' Affinity, and it was a good deck First time I played it was also the more red deck I was playing, which used a lot of my cards from the modern deck. But well, but yeah, it's just it's just a very fun format. And honestly, Wizards of the Coast should look more into like maybe they should start hosting pauper decks instead of standard pioneers or moderns. This it's just honestly I mean pauper's underrated as a format. But I don't know. What's your opinion, guys? Let's go into the next format. Dual Commander. Dual Commander combines both competitive play and and 1v1 commander. So what I don't like about CDH, I've never played CDH. Just I've just never liked the taste of it. You have to you build you play with four people like some randoms, and your objective is just win the game. You're not here to have fun. You're not here to engage in commander politics, and you're just your sole objective is to combo off and just one shot everyone else. And I don't like that's why I don't like Duke Commander because Duke no not Duke Commander I mean CDH because CDH has the same ban list as regular commanders. So CDH would end up being way too fast as people would start playing Jewel Glowless and every single mana off to accelerate too quickly. And that's why they banned Jewel Glowless, which doesn't let the casual commander players play. But Dual Commander is different. Dual Commander is a fast format. I mean, but except the cards that make the format fast are the like Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Jewel Lotus. All of those are banned. So you have to go to less conventional formats of Rampage, like Soul Talisman or Mox Tantalite, and they're actually and it's a very cool format. I mean, some commanders which are banned in paper like in multiplayer like Lego are playable in CD and in Dual Commander. And Dual Commander has like half the life total as regular Commander, but which allows for faster games. And there's no sideboard, which is what I like. I mean, sideboarding people people would argue that sideboarding is what makes Magic the Gathering fair. And I gotta tell you this, it's just honestly sideboarding is just overrated. I mean, it's like one deck that has like an advantage over another deck could still end up losing the next two games because the other deck puts their adapt they just adapt to it. And then the main deck has to like adapt to the adaptation, and that's where it causes, issues and decks are no longer in their prime. They cannot, they cannot, play at the same speed as they were doing in game one. Because game one is when the two decks are fighting at their full potential. Game two and three is when they start adjusting the deck, slowing it down, perhaps, or even making it faster to try and break through a control deck if game one is too slow, and and I mean other games that I mean, well, Yu-Gi-Oh does have a sideboard, but Pokemon does not have a sideboard, and I don't know what other TCGs don't have a sideboard, but I bet there's like a good amount that don't. I mean, and Dual Commander does not have a sideboard. I mean, the only thing you can change between games is your commander, as long as if it's in the same deck. So you cannot like change it. If you have Locust God in your Death Visit Commander deck, you can change the Death Visit Commander to Locust God. And they even nerfed partner commanders. So literally, partner commanders would no longer, be playable as like, so if you play one of the two commanders, the other one cannot be cast from the command zone. So you had to, if you want to use both commanders, you had to use unconventional methods, which, like for example, command beacon or other stuff like put your commander from the command zone to your hand or into the graveyard for other reasons. And it's just so yeah, dual commander. It's that, 1v1 uh, competitive commander experience without the toxicity. That's just my honest take on dual commander. With this, let's go to the next format. Commander. Commander, my favorite format of all time. Nothing beats just going home and just playing playing Commander with with your with your family, with some friends you brought, playing it, or just instead of going home, just go straight to your local game store and just enjoy yourself. I mean, you just bring your friends, I mean, if you want to play 1v1 Commander, and just sit down and just play Commander with your favorites, with your favorite cards. I mean, that's the best feeling that I get for Commander. I mean, I joined some Commander leagues where we're all playing fair, or I just joined in a game with some friends. I mean, or people I like at the store, and it was just fun. You play your deck, you and if you're playing multiplayer, then at this point there's no like clear objective. You just, like, of course you're playing to see who wins, but you're not trying to see, like, you're not actually trying to win. I mean, it's like one thing I experienced like Commander is that I have a few like combos, like one or two in each deck, and that's the most I play. I mean, I don't actively try to win, like, get the combos out. It's just if I just manage to stick around long enough to do the combo, or just if I'm about to lose, I just pull off the combo and I can win. But I just enjoy being able to play the other decks. Fairly, I have some decks that have no combos at all, and the primary objective is to just have a good board state and just start beating down the points when I can. Now, sometimes I mean, I was playing Commander, and some players are playing CDH. They're playing two strong decks and like very very strong decks, and like maybe we just like the other players were playing casually would just enjoy themselves, and the CDH player out of nowhere, boom, pulls up an infinite combo and wins the game, and I'm like, oh my god, don't play again. And so yeah, that's what I don't like about CDH. It just it's Commander without the fun. I mean, Commander is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be a competitive format. If you want to play competitive Commander, play dual Commander. That's what I'm being saying. I mean, but yeah, Commander, my favorite format of all time. And I like how Wizards keeps on making Commander sets, adding new cards to Commander to, play around and see what we can do. So that's why Commander is my favorite format. We even get crossovers exclusively for Commander, like Doctor Who or Warhammer, and and even Fallout. I mean, those are just really cool. I mean, Doctor Who, my favorite TV series and my favorite fictional verse. It's just I'm happy to be able to play the cards that I like in Commander without worrying if they're good or not. I mean, it's just that's basically why I like Commander. I mean, it lets me play the cards I find cool and I like to play. Let's go to our next format. historic. Historic and brawl. They are let's so instead of just talking about historic or anything, let's just talk about Magic Arena's exclusive formats. As in, we have cards that are MTG Arena exclusive, and we have cards that get buffed and nerfed because they're just too strong or too weak, and Wizard just wants to shake things up without actually banning the cards. So historic is a really cool format because it lets you play, like cards you want to play that are in arena, but it also allows you to play with cards that would usually play on paper, like cards that would like permanently reduce costs or increase powers and toughness, or just making sure a creature stays dead with a removal that permanently makes its toughness negative into the negatives, or just seeking like a particular type of card. So you draw an on land instead of like having without having to search or anything, and it's or even just randomly conjure up cards from outside the game that you don't even have in your sideboard, and they're just really cool. I mean, you can play so many different stuff, and and honestly, there's no like actual meta for historic or alchemy. Well, alchemy, it's it's like standard, but it's a bit smaller in terms of blocks, but the range of cards is wider as you have the arena exclusive cards, where you can, for example, shuffle the Power Knight into your deck. That's actually a card. It's called the Oracle of the Alpha, in case you forgot. But well, honestly, historic alchemy, brawl, they're overrated, to be honest. I mean, brawl. The issue is that it tried to be a standard version of Commander, which allowed both legendaries and planeswalkers to be used as commanders. But honestly, Oathbreaker was much better, and the format later died down. But then they brought back for, um, but then they brought back for MTG Arena, and that kind of fell on paper, but it still worked on MTG Arena, and I still play with my friend from time to time. And last but not least, Centurion Commander. Centurion Commander is literally just a ripoff of Dual Commander, which I actually played once in Italy, and boy, that format was not good. I mean, it was 25 life instead of like 20 life on like Dual Commander, and the ban list was just different, and it's much more restrictive than the Dual Commander ban list, and honestly, I did not like. I mean, Centurion Commander, gotta tell you this, it was just bad. Dual Commander is much better than Centurion Commander. So now that Wizards is officially making like Dual Commander like on a MTGO and stuff, then maybe we have a potential for Dual Commander being an official paper format. But Centurion Commander will not be an official format. So, yeah. Sorry, Centurion Commander fans, but your format is absolute garbage. Even worse than standard. So, yeah. Centurion Commander actually sucks. But, so overall, my favorite format is just plain old Commander. And my favorite competitive format is Modern. So, yeah. And my least favorite formats are just CDH and standard. So, yeah, congratulations. You've reached the end of the podcast. So why don't you like, subscribe, follow my Twitch channel, yeah, right, share friends, stay tuned to the next videos, streams, and podcasts. That's podcast will be live, don't worry. 4:30 GMT like always. So please stay tuned to it. Watch my other videos too. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Merry Christmas and Happy